Welcome to the Short Funk Podcast. I'm Tom Barbalet, and today I want to tell a little story about a place called Thang Mo. Thang Mo is in the borderlands between Malaysia and Thailand. If you can imagine Malaysia and Thailand, long peninsula that is Malaysia, sticking into a peninsula that kind of curves around that is Thailand, and on the western side there is a joining town called Thang Mo. On the Malaysian side is a town called Padang Besar, and on the Thai side is Thang Mo. And when I was 18, this seemed like the best possible adventure in travelling up into Thang Mo. Now, I got to Malaysia because my mother was a diplomat. My mother had become a diplomat through, I guess, when I was probably about 15. Prior to that, she'd worked in the same department that the diplomats came from, editing historical documents. But when she became a diplomat, the expectation was eventually she would travel overseas. In this case, her first opportunity to travel overseas and represent Australia was about 3 months before my final exams in high school. Not opportunely planned, however, she went to Malaysia, and about 3 months later I went up to visit her. Looking at the Lonely Planet guide of touring Malaysia, I think Thailand is part of it. I think it's Singapore, Malaysia, and Thailand potentially. It could be Singapore, Malaysia, and Brunei. I don't have it in front of me. But anyway, looking at the Lonely Planet guide, I realised that I could take a train through the areas that I wanted to see, including Penang and Langkawi, which are both islands, and then up into Thang Mo so I could dip my toe into Thailand, so to speak. I crossed the border into Thang Mo via motorcycle, which apparently is the best way to travel in. I don't recall if my passport was stamped or not. The motorcycle ride cost 2 ringgit, I seem to recall at the time, and I arrived in Thailand quite excited. I went through Thang Mo, I went through the various stores, including a wet market and a dry market, through the local arms seller where I took a variety of photographs, but the only area where I was shooed on by the locals was when I took a picture of a cat eating some rice refuse from the ground. Thang Mo, like most Thai towns, had a wide variety of prostitution on the main street, or at least perhaps tourist Thai towns, and I decided for whatever reason to hightail it out of that area and ended up in a monastery. And I spent the better part of a few hours walking around the monastery, and because I knew a little bit about Buddhist folklore, I guess one would call it that, in particular the monkey deity and his wanderings through the lands with the fish spirit and the pig spirit. In Australia, there was a program called Monkey Magic, which was shown on the national broadcaster, which was a dubbed-across version of these tales, so I was very familiar with it from my boyhood. I was able to strike up a non-language-based conversation with one of the monks, and spent a good amount of time wandering around the monastery until I got back into Thang Mo, hailed down a motorcycle cab, and went back across onto the Malaysian side, much the wiser, actually. As I was leaving Thang Mo, there was shots fired, and that kind of added the excitement to my departure as the motorcyclist sped up, which I guess is the natural reaction when you hear shots being fired behind you. I almost wonder if it was staged on my behalf, like if just some of the local hoods had decided to let off some of their guns because they saw Whitey heading back to Malaysia. Anyway, that was my experience travelling through Thang Mo. This has been another Short Funk Podcast. Tom Barbalet in San Jose, signing out.